Blizzard says that they are ready. Yes, they really did. Their lead on Diablo 4, a lead, said that regarding servers, they are prepared. We all, of course, remember Error 37. They would likely say this time, though, that the difference is that with all of those mass stress test weekends where people could just launch into the game for free, that they've actually already rammed their servers enough, and that unless they have a launch that is completely out of the range of what they would expect, that they will actually be okay, at least on a server perspective. I will at least say the servers are probably going to be fine. Often what ends up falling over is the likes of the login servers. Maybe that's the sort of thing that they've already tried to stress test in those weekends. Anyway, server engineers are wizards, networking is hell, and today we're going to be talking broadly about the state of Diablo 4 as we run up to the launch. There have been a few little dramas, a few little stories, some things for us to regard. So, the game's coming out on the 2nd of June, midnight GMT. So actually, it's coming out June 1st for those of you in America. There are $90 editions and $100 editions, and those are the editions that get to play the game early. For $70, you get to play on June 5th/6th. This is a fairly major thing, actually, and I'd say that because this early access period coincides with the first weekend of this game being out. Now, I don't know about you, but typically the weekend is when I'd actually have time to play the game. And I think when Blizzard look at their audience, they are saying, we can get $20 out of them, because a lot of people who are, interested in this game, they're going to be looking at this thinking, okay, I'll get some additional goodies, I'll get some currency, and I'll get to play the game right now. Is $20 worth a weekend of entertainment that I wouldn't have already had? And then people maybe think about the price of going to Starbucks, the price of a cinema ticket. And then they think, all right, I'm going to do it. And that really is the strategy and how they're executing this game launch in terms of maximizing the revenue potential. Honestly, yeah, it's pretty damn good, and I'm sure it's going to be effective. That being said, they have dropped a few balls on the PR front. But before we get to that, today's sponsor, They Are Sick. Short form, they are one of my favorite services in the whole internet. They are so much more than book summaries. Their team does the heavy lifting, adding stunning value to supercharge your learning. So, shortform.com/Bellular News is where you will find 5 days unlimited access and an additional 20% off the annual sub. Take a fantastic book like Principles by Ray Dalio, right? Awesome book for life work. So, first you can hit up their one-pager on the book, and if that piques your interest, you can dive into their full book guide, where they have done the heavy lifting. They give you the key context of the book's creation. They help you understand the perspective of the author, right? And they really are not just book summaries. They're like your co-pilot. They network the thinking for you, because they will smartly bring in opinions from other books and other authors, so that when you're actually reading a book, you're getting the complete picture, right? You're understanding all those different perspectives. And they've got exercises for each guide so that you can actually apply what you learn. And I also love the fully narrated audio guides on their app. It really is just a limitless pill for learning the published knowledge of humanity, which is, it's quite a lot, isn't it? So you should really check them out. Shortform.com/Bellular News. 5 days, unlimited access. So hey, if the weekend's coming up or whatever, give the free trial. Enjoy some of the audio on a walk in your Saturday. And of course, you'll also get a 20% discount on the annual sub. All right, let's roll. So, the reviews are out. Now, these are reviews that, broadly speaking, are the likes of the press. Also, though, those of us who do YouTube, Force, as an example, Force's review is out. So it's been great that we do actually have some content creator people there. Certainly, I will trust a 30-plus minute YouTube video from Force or SkillUp more than a sort of quick review from the generalized press, which isn't knocking them. It's just, the guys in YouTube, I know they kind of play the games like I do. So, to go over what people are saying, though, we've got an 89 top critic average with a 100% recommendation, which really is quite stunning. Here's from VGC. Blizzard exorcises the sins of a mortal with a stunning ARPG. I mean, that's quite an exorcism, because the sins of a mortal are rather bad. And there's really no need to fully dive into all of these reviews. They are essentially glowing. We've went through all of them, though, and I'll summarize some of the key points. Number 1, as a loot-driven ARPG, it is rewarding. Number 2, it's accessible to newcomers and casuals while not being shallow. 3, it's literally just fun. Apparently, it is exceptional in the story front, with people saying that Lilith is a compelling villain, that it's a morally ambiguous story that GameSpot called surprisingly moving and engrossing. I'll certainly say, from my initial, 2 hours playing that open beta, I was pretty surprised. Yeah, Lilith. I remember people were joking about, oh, if Kojima did this character, he'd just call her Hard Mummy. So I suppose there you go, Lilith exuding that Hard Mummy energy. It seems like a pretty compelling villain. I'm sure a lot of people want to get stomped on by Lilith on the internet, which, as we all know, the more that people get a bit weird about your characters, then hey, the more successful your IP will be. That's what Blizzard had in 2016 with Overwatch, and then promptly managed to not properly follow up on. They're saying it's incredible on the visuals and the sound, and at worst, it is that it is refinement over innovation, which isn't exactly a bad thing, and it's also a humongous game. Looking into, say, what Force was saying, perhaps a lack of difficulty outside of the Nightmare dungeons, but broadly speaking, I know he ended his piece by essentially saying, my character's been deleted because the review build is over. And when that happened, I just wanted to play more of it. So, we do have a lot of positive opinion. That being said, we also have some drama. Do you like Q&As with fake A's from fake people? Actually, no, it's fake Q's from fake people. So, what if I told you that Blizzard were liars? Would you nod in agreement? Maybe. So look, this video was originally titled Diablo 4 Devs Answer Your Questions, and now it's titled Diablo 4 Developer Interview. This is really funny. So, Future Games Show released a video, and a few people, like the Twitch streamer Quinn, they watched it, and they realized that something was not quite right. Because all the questions seemed like staged softball BS. And it sort of turns out that they were. It's kind of incredible. So, you put out this video, but the questions seem off. Luckily, they included the handles of these people asking these questions. Surely nothing's wrong. And yeah, this person went in, and we actually see that they're leading to random Twitter accounts that are just dead. Here's one that was made in May 2023 with 1 follower that's following 1 account. This is where these questions were coming from. Yeah, and the same actually goes for every question in the video. It's crazy. So, Reddit accounts that don't exist, Twitter accounts that don't exist. And there's a reason, because, well, here's a tweet from the Future Game Show account on May 13th, asking for questions. You might note here, we've got 13 likes on the tweet, with 17 replies. Now, these all, of course, these replies are from after the Q&A happened. So, Future Game Show set this up, reached out for questions, got none, and then had to cover their own asses by asking their own questions. And then this resulted in a bunch of headlines like, Blizzard accused of fake accounts for Q&A, Blizzard accused of, fake softball questions. In reality, this has got nothing to do with Blizzard. Blizzard didn't do any of this shit. Yeah, they didn't. This is absolutely, completely devoid of Blizzard. It is literally just that Blizzard were, doing an interview spot with Future Game Show. Is this anything bad in Blizzard? Absolutely not. Is it goddamn hilarious? Yes, so enjoy those funnies because we're getting them for free. Now, we've of course got how this has blown up in the internet. Videos from Asmongold with combined 500k views. Diablo 4 Q&A questions were all faked. Oh, all the questions to this Q&A are fake. Asmongold reacts, so people, the word got out. FGS then edited the video description to say that they changed the names for anonymity purposes. But there are actually no Twitter posts with that exact text. So that was just ass covering. That was never going to work. Yeah, they finally acknowledged it and say, we messed up. This was originally titled, They Answer Your Questions. The intent was to get questions. And then they say that it's a mixture of questions sourced from the fan base and from their editorial team. And they basically go into this saying they actually did get questions, but the people wanted, their stuff to be hidden. So they then say that, and this is what's weird, They then say that they changed them for the purposes of the video, that new usernames were randomly generated, but on further investigation, some of them relate to real accounts. Like, I just don't really buy that. But if they were really trying to run a con, like, it is the most stupid con. It would never, ever work. Anyway, they do say that Activision Blizzard, Diablo 4 developers had no pre-approval or anything like that. Honestly, that I would believe. I have never done a interview with Blizzard. For me, that includes like the game director of World of Warcraft and other like senior members of that team. It's weird. I've never like had to get anything pre-approved or anything be screened. The most that we will get from them is just saying, and we would like questions to be focused on the new content update, because like they generally don't want sort of questions that are about stuff that's not the thing that is the current PR wave. But the actual pre-screening, that's never really happened too much. Anyway, the moral of the story here is, if you're working with an external partner, vet their work, don't spin webs of lies because you'll just be caught, and frankly, if you're going to do shady shit, at least be goddamn competent. I mean, come on. Right, round 2 of drama, so I hope you've got another shot of whatever your favorite beverage is. Right then. Think you can cheat death? Reach level 100 in hardcore mode and tweet Diablo 4 hardcore with proof, and have your username immortalized in a statue of Lilith. Offer limited to the first 1,000, restrictions apply. Now, as a promo, I think we've all got to admit, that's pretty goddamn sick. The only other thing I can think of is EVE Online usernames being like inscribed in or on a statue I've actually visited in Reykjavik, outside the CCP offices in Iceland. And yeah, it's just a bunch of the EVE subscribers. They're on the statue. It's really, really cool. So this is an awesome promo, but people immediately realize there's a problem. People who have done review copies, including content creators who potentially could be very, competitive for this sort of thing. I mean, as an example, to pull a gamer out of my butt, it would be Kripparrian. I remember watching Kripparrian back in the Diablo 3 launch days, and it's like, yeah, if you gave Krip full access to the game, and then you did this, he's going to win, or, going to have a good try. Anyway, people then basically said, this is going to be an issue. Rod Ferguson said, don't worry, all the people who were doing review copies, their progress has been wiped, right? And then he's just like, how does deleting all their progress and making them start at the same time as everyone else give them an advantage that's unfair? Now, Rod, come on, bro. Come on. I mean, I'll steel man his position, and I'll say that if you are directing Diablo 4, you're probably a very sleepy man right now. And whenever people do approach burnout and they're very sleepy, one of the first things to go, generally speaking, is empathy. So obviously, he got ratioed to utter oblivion in this, because obviously, if you've played a bunch of Diablo for a review, you're going to have experience, you're going to have practice, you're going to have knowledge, you're going to have better game skill, and the drama's been fixed. Because they have said that people who have had access to the pre-release build in May are not a part of this. So this has been seen as, Blizzard out of touch, right, for a bunch of people, because, this is such an obvious blunder. The question then we'd say is, what is reasonable here? For the vast majority of people on the Diablo 4 team who know what's up with Diablo, they probably see this thing from Rod and think, oh, come on, bro, come on. I've been working in the Diablo franchise for 10 years. Come on, man. Whereas, Rod is decently new. He's often, I believe there's times he's been seen as a bit of a fixer, like a kind of, dude you get in to get shit shipped. So, he's kind of came in for that. Maybe he's not coming as much from the Diablo community from that perspective. I would certainly not take what he says as being representative for, of like the broad Diablo team. So I think ultimately here, you have two PR blunders that fundamentally don't really have that much to do with the game. They're just little pockets of stupidity that make for absolutely fantastic stories, which is why they spread so humongously on the internet. But for the likes of Blizzard, it does show the knife edge that they live on, right? Do you remember when they said that the Overwatch, PvE stuff, that they were still doing the story missions and that content would come out, but the hero mode's gone? And then you saw PC Gamer, I believe, running a headline of Overwatch 2 PvE mode cancelled. And it's like, that's literally false. I get it. We're all very disappointed, but let's actually be truthful. And we do live in a bit of a post-truth world. I mean, I tweeted about some of the Diablo stuff yesterday. I just tweeted like, oh, would you look at that? That's a lot of reviews. And people were just saying, oh yeah, but pay to win. This game's pay to win. And I'm like, it's not pay to win. We've already seen the full shop loop. It's not, there's no power. The thing that I think is ridiculous is that you're being asked to spend the best part of like $30 for a cosmetic in a game that costs 60 to 70 bucks, or sorry, 70 to 100 bucks, which is goddamn insane. Now, I'm not going to say that it's pay to win, but you know, we can think that it's ghastly bullshit without resorting to untruths. Anyway, the point for Blizzard here is you're winning the war in terms of the content and the game front, you know, evidently. And it's not just the journos who are saying it's good, it is also quite a lot of community people, content people. They're the ones that I would trust when we're kind of looking at genre specialist criticism. But you can just see the degree to which the whole internet is just like, yeah, you're Blizzard though. You know, all your wrongs will be magnified, and we will apply less of a critical lens to them, which ultimately is what happens when you serially don't listen to your communities for years. You completely cock up Overwatch and, you know, literally do wrong by the actual time of their lives that people invested into that product. And, you know, then all the dramas come out and all the crazy shit flows, right? So it's pretty interesting. Right. Does the bad go away? Well, some of the bad will go away from the Diablo 4 launch if broad users actually agree with these critical responses. Now, what I saw of feedback from the open beta was astoundingly positive, mostly across the board. From a broad perspective, I am aware of the more like hardcore ARPG community criticisms. It's this sort of thing. To me, those criticisms don't matter too much, but they absolutely are valid criticisms from that perspective. But essentially from this game, like, I found it to be tremendously fun with a story that I was really engrossed in, to the point where, am I going to play this like I'm Kriparian or some ARPG person, or I don't know, Quinn doing Path of Exile, I think that's his game? No, I'm never going to play this game like those guys do. But they've actually successfully crafted a Diablo experience that somebody like me, who's more chasing like novelty and, you know, the sort of interesting, you know, experiences and storytelling and shit in games, they've seemingly crafted a game where that actually works, you know, for somebody like me, while still having, you know, plenty of the late game build variety, theory crafting and all that. The thing that will matter the most, though, is that long tail. How is this game going to go with hundreds and hundreds of hours of doing vaguely the same content over and over again? That is the pillar of this entire franchise and genre. And ultimately, if they're going to be having one of these seasons 4 times a year, is that going to be enough? How will the honeymoon period be? I mean, certainly it seems like it's destined for a better time than Diablo 3. I mean, this seems resoundingly less fucked than Diablo 3 was. Let's be real. For Blizzard, because they are doing a early access monetized, full-priced video game with a battle pass that has a premium tier, and it's not just a premium tier that contains some skips. Oh no! It contains skips and a cosmetic, which of course is going to mean that, oh, it's no longer just the lazy rich gamer option, it's also the I want all the things option. You know, so it's got all the things, the battle pass, the store, full premium game. Now, all of this means is that the value proposition is we're going to monetize this, and in return you're going to get a bunch of content and want to play the game. It's that latter bit that we don't know so much about. And, you know, we've heard that Blizzard have had issues with employee retention, that kind of thing. And if those are the case, and then that seasonal content ends up not competing with, you know, say, grinding gear games, maybe even with Warframe, you know, those other ARPGs are doing, then maybe people will fall off a bit more, right? So that's ultimately going to be the thing, because even though grinding gear games do not have the resources that Blizzard have, grinding gear games have lived that goddamn grind for a decade, and they know how to do that seasonal content model, right? That's their bread and butter. As for a refresher, right, with these quarterly seasons, with the first one coming 6 to 8 weeks after launch, they shall bring to us new gameplay features, new quest lines, but not a continuation of the campaign. The campaign will continue in expansions, legendary items, balance changes, quality of life improvements, and battle passes. Woo, yes, battle passes forever. Oh my god, I mean, I can't wait until the British government try to sell me a battle pass in addition to my taxes. Won't it be great? You know, oh wow, buy the government battle pass and you'll get an ID card that's gilded in gold. I don't know. I mean, it is a hell world. I wouldn't be particularly surprised. As for those battle passes, this is the real black mark, and this is where we've got to give a humongous W to Halo Infinite. I know that sounds weird, but in Halo Infinite, the battle passes don't expire. If you want to use your old battle pass, you just swap over to it. Because at least 343 aren't saying, we will take your money, and if you don't get into the goddamn fields, we will burn it, which is what these battle passes are. And then the way that they're monetizing is it's like, hey, season's about to end. You're 13 levels behind the maximum thing in the battle pass. Ooh. Maybe you have to buy some tier skips, because someone like you or me, you know, I see tier skips and I think, what fucking buffoon would buy these? They're so expensive. And that's because, as a non-battle pass hellscape gamer, I'm only engaging in battle passes, you know, on a free tier at the very beginning. But for the person who's at the very end of their battle pass and, you know, maybe they had exams and their nan died and they didn't get to play the game as much. And I know that's a little bit morbid, but, you know, life happens. And the way that these battle passes monetize is life happens. You should buy some of your lost progress back, you know, and that just feels shitty. Anyway, there's free tiers. There are many premium tiers. They're only for seasonal characters. You can't buy any power. The tier skips can't buy power. It's all just paid currency platinum that you use to buy cosmetics and the rotating shop. The free pass does give you smoldering ashes, which are traded in for XP and currency boosts, but these are limited by level. And that means the tier skips will not allow you to get those faster. And overall, we have got 23 tiers. The premium battle pass is 1000 plat, which is 10 buckaroos with 63 tiers, or you can get accelerated. Yes, put in that video game coke for 2800 platinum, getting 63 tiers, 20 skips, and an emote. A freaking emote. Is that not so exciting? The shit people will buy these days, man. But hey, it must work. As for that rotating shop, it's got a preview function, cross-platform purchases, no power whatsoever, no skins that don't break the aesthetic. So it's not like you're playing Battlefield and then somebody's like, oh, look, it's Neon Santa running through the battlefield. You know, they're not doing that. They're keeping them in universe, which I think is good, in fairness, right? Because if Battle Pass players actively break the visual integrity of the game, then it's just scuffed. So all of that does seem good. There is a little bit of a last concern though, and that is, of course, what I talked about. Can they keep it up? I think my future at Blizzard, my days are numbered. One current member of the Diablo 4 team who wished to remain anonymous because they don't have permission to discuss company business told Kotaku. They said some others in their team have already given notice and none of their managers agree with the return to office policy. In fact, you know that RTO policy? And again, I know that people talk about this and people always go like, no, this is America. Get up off your ass and get into the office, you lazy game developer. I put in my time. I worked in a chip shop. I worked in the job site digging foundations. I get it. With that shit, you can't dig foundations from home. That's true. But I would also say if we were to put on our big, you know, cigar smoking, big America hat, turbo laissez-faire capitalism, man, the jobs market is another market. And if you are offering people less perks and less compensation than other companies who are offering more perks, more flexibility, and more compensation, they will get the staff. So if you got an offer at another company that paid you more money, let you be more flexible with the locality of your work, and gave you better benefits, what would you do? And would you make that choice because you're a weak-ass SoCal lib? Or would you make that choice because it's literally a better deal? That's the thing that I want to ram home with this, because everything goes right to this culture war angle, you know? And this ain't culture war. This is pure hard economics. This is pure hard labor market. Other people are giving a better deal than Blizzard. And because there's a better deal, the Diablo team and all their other teams are attriting staff. That's the thing that matters, right? So ultimately it is, will Blizzard, will sort of top-end managers making their big plans, will they cock it up? And, I always go back to a lot of like military history and stuff, because I think that's where a lot of like structure, organization, leadership principles sort of come through. One of the things that has made a lot of like Western armies be, so much more capable. Even some of the things that were kind of like innovations in one side of the First World War. It is that idea of the more decentralized command, right? The idea that the subordinates, their job is to, it is to execute upon the mission. Where they don't have to go 5 levels up the chain of command and ask the political commissar if it's okay to do this. That's one of the sort of larger weaknesses in, in many force organizations, say in dictatorships because of a lot of really bad, incentive structures. And, historically, like say in the Soviet armies and stuff like that, obviously the most ghastly and horrific example of this is the First World War, where, just command makes a choice. Nobody in the ground is basically consulted and horrific things happen. Whereas you look at a lot of the very modern, successful, at least in the field of battle armies, and that is about decentralized command. That is about people who are closer to the front line, closer, actual boots on the ground. They get to make the decisions on the execution of plans because ultimately they're the people who know their situation best. So all that they need to do is apply their skills to achieving the overall mission, right? And you can kind of think about a lot of this large company stuff in some of those similar terms and learn those lessons. So you're a person at the top of the company making the humongous policy change, but not actually consulting the people who have got to execute on that company's mission. That obviously is going to be a bit of a rumbly proposition. Whereas the person at the top of the company says, right, this is our mission. Game directors, it is your job to execute upon this mission. And you get to control your force structure, your deployment of your staff, all this shit. You got to control that along with your production team to best execute on how World of Warcraft is made by the World of Warcraft team, how Diablo is made by the Diablo team, right? Like, again, if I want to go full rock, flag, and eagle, America, like that's the whole fucking underlying philosophy that's made them pretty effective in the whole war doing thing, right? It's like, why is business so bad at learning lessons here? Is it actually that you have a bunch of spreadsheet-oriented morons, at the top, the typical lines led by donkeys bullshit that goes on everywhere, where, they're just looking at their spreadsheet being like, I'm going to make this change, done. And they're not actually, thinking, right? Not really thinking about things. Because sometimes, even like that tweet from Rod earlier, some of these people in leadership, you hear them actually flap their mouths for a bit, and you're like, you're fucking out of touch. How on earth are you doing your job? So that's the situation with Diablo. Will Activision Blizzard get in the way of their own development team and scuff the game in its long-term future? That is the primary risk for this game. I do not believe that the primary risk is the quality of the game. From all that I can tell, including my own experience, which albeit is limited, I had an extremely good first impression. People, including those who I trust, are very glowing about the game. It does seem that the game developers, funnily enough, have done an amazing job at, game development. And now the final question is, will the business organization Activision Blizzard managed to betray the efforts of their own team, and of course in doing so, betray the expectations of their fans. Something that they're pretty damn good at doing. All right, that's it for me. If you want to support what we're doing, check out today's sponsor. Seriously, short form are awesome. They accompany me on my walks. They help me learn new shit, and I think they're pretty damn dope. So you can check out that down below. And I suppose I'll see you in Sanctuary. Goodbye.